Hi, I'm Bobby, and in today's video I'm going to be doing my February TBR. So in January I introduced my new TBR game, Bobbi's World. I will link last month's video up in the cards, if I remember, or down below. And I'm going to do a quick run through of the rules today, and then I'm going to play the game. But before I do any of that, I'm going to do a quick run through of what I read in January. As I am filming this, I still currently have a week until the end of January, so I still have time to get more reading done. So I'm not going to do a full wrap up of my January reads this video. I'm going to do a separate video for that. However, I'm going to let you know which books I've completed, which ones I haven't, and I'll talk more about my feelings in the wrap up. So these are the 7 books that were chosen in my January wrap up. So I've got Moonstruck, which was a fantasy with a pink cover, Skyward, which was a graphic novel by an international author, The Martian, which was a sci-fi with an orange cover, The Night Circus, which was a classic reread, Stalking Jack the Ripper, which was an intimidating read, I Capture the Castle, which was a classic that I was gifted, and Skyward by Brandon Sanderson, which is a completely different story to the graphic novel, which is my priority book. So out of these books, I have completed the 2 graphic novels, and I have started all of the other books. I've decided I'm going to continue reading Skyward, and I'm hoping to finish it this week, but I can't be sure. I Capture the Castle is a classic, so because of my rules from my goals video, I am going to carry it over to February because I'm allowing myself 2 months per classic. And I'm considering continuing with Stalking Jack the Ripper because I'm enjoying that one a lot. The other 2 I'm not too fussed about, but because I haven't completed all of them, I do have to spin the punishment wheel. So I will spin the punishment wheel now. So my punishment for not completing all my books in January will be ooh, that is just on blind pick, which means I have to choose a book from my shelf with my eyes closed. That's exciting. So the punishment wheel landed on blind pick, so I'm going to blindfold myself and choose a book from my shelf. So I'm going to do my blind pick now for my punishment wheel. I've got my blindfold, so let's do this. Just proof I'm not looking. See if I can do this. Right, I can't see it. Right, and we'll go to the shop. Okay. Blind pick, blind pick, blind pick. There are books but like, I don't know what happened. There's a book. Ha! This month is going well. Lord of the Rings, The Fellowship of the Ring. What a month. So the book I grabbed was Lord of the Rings, The Fellowship of the Ring by J.R.R. Tolkien. I'm pretty sure most people have heard about this book, know the general idea of this story. I read The Hobbit in 2012, I think, just before the movies came out, and I really enjoyed it, but these ones are a bit intimidating. They're much bigger, it's a trilogy, it's high fantasy. I wasn't really into that back then, and it just always scared me a little bit. This is a copy that's been in my family for many years. It says it was printed in 2001. That's interesting. Basically, this follows a hobbit, which is a magical creature. His name is Frodo, and he is sent on a quest to destroy a magical ring. Like I said, it is very intimidating to me, and I was not happy when I picked this one up. But it's fine, I need to get to it at some point. It is an incredibly popular book. I've heard so many good things about the series, and I'm actually looking forward to it. I'm just a bit nervous. I also have the audiobook of this on Audible, which I've tried listening to before, but I am willing to use it to help me get through this chunker of a book. It is about 530 pages? 535 pages. So As a side note, I've never seen the films either, so I really don't know the details of the story, but I'm pretty sure my best friend is really into it, so I'm gonna go for it. So I'm quickly going to run through the rules of this game before I show you the books and the play and everything. So basically the board is set out to look a bit like a fantasy map, and we travel around the board and the different colours symbolise different genres. So we have a fantasy, a middle grade, a historical fiction, a classic, mystery, thriller, horror, a young adult, a contemporary. We also have sci-fi and graphic novel. So I have 2 six-sided dice and I'm going to roll them 5 times. Each time I will land on a genre space, and then I will take a narrative card to give me a prompt based on that genre. For each genre there is a destination space. If I land on this, then I have to take a plot twist card, the same as if I roll a double on any turn. The plot twist cards basically give me a more challenging prompt, but also it does add an extra book to my TBR. Some of the plot twist cards also say go to a particular genre area, and for that I will go back to the destination space for that genre. For example, if it says go to the science fiction port, then I go back to almost the beginning, no matter where I am at the time when I get this card. So in some ways it might be good because it could take me to nearer the end where I'll be close to the book haul, but it could also take me right back to the beginning, so that is not that good. So that's basically the play. The other aspect of it is the punishment wheel, which we will see right at the beginning of this video, and for that is for if I do not complete 1 or more books, then I will spin the wheel, but only once, no matter how many books I don't complete. And it gives me a challenge to do for the following month's TBR. I can also use this wheel when a plot twist card says colour wheel, and I'll spin it and choose a book based on the colour chosen. For example, if I spin it and get orange, like last month, then I have to get an orange book. So I think it's on narrative cards. I can't remember if it's on the plot twist cards. I don't remember my cards, sorry. So yeah, that's basically how the game works. So now I'm just going to go ahead and play the game. I also need to pick one of my priority books, so I'm going to choose that from the mug now. So my priority book for February is going to be The Binding by Bridget Collins. Okay, it's gonna be that kind of month. So the book I chose was The Binding by Bridget Collins. This book has been on my shelf for a couple of years now. I bought it when it first came out. I found a signed edition in the bookshop and it's just been sitting on my shelf unread for ages. As I've said in other videos, it's sort of become a joke between myself and my best friend because we both bought it when it was new and never picked it up. And we both forgot what it was about. But looking back at the synopsis, it does sound really interesting. This is set in a world where you can have your bad memories removed and they'll be stored in books. And it follows a character who is starting an apprenticeship as a bookbinder, and he discovers a book with his name on it, therefore containing some of his memories. It sounds really peculiar and exciting and maybe a little bit spooky as well. So I'm quite looking forward to getting to this book. But yes, I now already have 2 intimidating books on my TBR. So now that those 2 things are out of the way, I'm going to get on with the rolls. So let's do our first roll of the game. As you can see, the board is very much still a work in progress. However, we have the narrative cards ready here, and the plot twist cards are ready here. And then my counter is ready and waiting where we left off on Classic back last month. I have my dice, so it is time to play. So we got double 4 to start with, that's always fun. So, we're going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. It is a mystery or thriller, and the narrative card for this one is romantic element. I'm going to say now, I'm not sure I have anything for that one. Actually, I think I'm going to take a hard and fast pass on that prompt, and so I will shuffle these cards, which is, you know, a brilliant way to start the game. One quick shuffle. Okay. Right, we are still on mystery and thriller, and the narrative card we get now is fantasy element. That might be a little easier, to be honest. So for my first roll, I landed on a mystery thriller horror, and the narrative card I picked said a book with a fantasy element. So I'm not sure if this quite works, but I'm gonna take a chance because I filmed my rolls last night. I know how this game goes, and I want to try and cut down on as many books as possible. So for this one, I have chosen The Binding. It sounds more or less like a dystopian, which is a bit creepy, it's a bit spooky. It maybe sounds more like a fantasy with a mystery element or thriller element, but I'm gonna let it slide because I want to make my life easy. But it has been described on quotes on the back as magical, so I'm going to allow it. To be fair, the process of putting a memory into a book does sound like a fantasy element to me, so there. So I did roll a double for this turn, which means I have to take a plot twist card. So this one says, seek help in finding your next quest. Use a letter generator to find the title of your next book. So the card said use a letter generator to help choose the title of the book. So I'm going to do the letter generator now. So I'm doing my random letter generator. I'm going to press randomize 3 times, and whatever letter it lands on, I will have to choose a title with that letter. 1, 2, 3. And oh, come on. What's wrong with this game today? So I landed on the letter O, which was a real struggle for me, to be honest. However, I found a book that I want to read, and we're going to go with it. And that book is The Once and Future Witches by Alex E. Harrow. This book has been incredibly popular recently. I bought it in December. It was in my December book haul, if you want to check that out. Just trying to promo all my videos now. So this book is set in a world where witches have been eradicated. However, there are still a few witches, and they sort of band together to take over the suffragist movement and use that movement to bring back all their witches. It sounds really spooky, really fun, magical. It sounds like it's going to be really enjoyable, and I've heard a lot of good reviews about this book, so I'm really excited to get to this one. Okay, now for our second roll. Double 4 again. Cool, thanks dice, love you. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. That is a middle grade. The narrative card we have got this time is new to me author. So for my second roll, I landed on middle grade, and the narrative card I picked said a new to me author. So for this one, I have chosen Inkheart by Cornelia Funke. I believe that's how it's pronounced. That's how I've been told it's been pronounced. That's what I'm going for. I considered putting this book on my priority list for this year, but there were just too many books and something had to go. However, I'm fitting it in here, and I'm quite excited for it. It's a very chunky book, and I'm maybe regretting that now, considering the rest of the game. However, I have owned this book for a few years, and I believe I initially bought it because of Cece at Problems of a Book Nerd. I believe she is a big fan of Cornelia Funke's writing, and it just really inspired me to purchase this book. This is a fantasy about a character whose dad can pull characters out of books by reading the stories out loud, and I believe the characters come alive from the books, and the child, the girl, Meggie, has to go on a quest to put them all back. That's what I'm guessing. That's what I'm assuming. It sounds really adventurous, and it's a little cliche, the idea, but it's also, like, it sounds quite fun. It is a long book, the font is quite small, so that is quite intimidating. However, it is a children's book, so the writing should be fairly easy. It shouldn't be a particularly vexing read, so that might help. And I'm going to need all the help I can get with only 4 weeks in this month. Just 4 short weeks and so much to read. But it does sound like a lot of fun, very adventurous, and it should be really, really good. So, as my luck would have it, I pulled another double, so I had to take another plot twist card. And this time's plot twist card says, you are assigned a new quest at random. Choose a book from your TBR mug. Okay, in that case, I have my TBR mug ready and waiting. And the book we have to read this month is... Oh, there's a big piece of paper. Noragami, which is a manga. So the book that was chosen was Noragami, which is a manga. I haven't read a lot of mangas. I'm borrowing this from someone who's really into manga, and this was recommended to me. It is basically, what I've understood from the synopsis, follows a homeless god who is trying to build a temple for himself to build up his worshippers, and in order to do this he is taking on odd jobs like rescuing stray cats and saving children who are being bullied. It sounds silly, it sounds fun, it is a small book, it is manga, so it should be quite quick and easy to get through. I've read a few mangas before, but I don't always get on with them, so I'm not too sure how I'm going to cope with this one, but it should be great. It should be good fun, and it sounds really, really funny. Roll number 3 is... oh, thank goodness. 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Damn it! Okay, we landed on a destination square. Okay, so it is a mystery thriller. Again, which is weird because I don't have many mysteries or thrillers. And the narrative card for this one is titular character. So I've been thinking about this, and I've come to the conclusion that I can't find a mystery, thriller or horror with a titular character that I actually want to read. So I'm going to choose a new one. Right, shuffled them enough. I'm now going to take this top card and see what it says. Set in USA, set in America. So for my third roll I landed on mystery, thriller, horror, and the narrative card said a titular character. However, I really struggled to find a book that I wanted to read, that I own, that had a titular character. So I selected my narrative card again, and this time it landed on the set in the USA. So for this book I have chosen Dread Nation by Justina Ireland. This is like a zombie apocalypse story set during the American War of Independence. I believe it also involves some sort of combat training school. I don't really know a lot about this book, but it is the first in a series. I know there's at least a second one out, and I'm not sure about any more than that. However, this book seems suitable. I've had it quite some time. It's not overly long, it's about 400 pages. Now, I'm not particularly into zombie apocalypse stories. I'll be honest, I don't really remember why I decided to buy this book in the first place. But it did look interesting, and I am actually quite excited to read it this month. However, I landed on the destination space, so I've now got to take another plot twist card, which is wild card. Now wild card means I can choose any book I want, which is something of a saving grace. So on the roll where I didn't land on a double, I landed on a destination space, so I had to take a plot twist card anyway. Great, I'm thrilled. So for the plot twist card, I selected a wild card, and for this one I decided to go for Lord of the Rings, as I had already chosen it, and I mean, it doesn't fit into any of my other categories today, and you know, I had chosen it at random, so I'm trying to cut down on the number of books because I've only rolled the dice 3 times and I'm already on 6 books. The way this month's game is going, I need to be as sneaky as possible. Roll number 4. Come on, game, don't be like this. You can be good this time, yes? Oh, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. That is a pink, which is historical fiction. Okay, and our narrative card is manga. Historical fiction manga. Are we gonna take it? Are we? I'm gonna say no, just because I don't have many mangas at my disposal right now. And we'll do a quick shuffle again. Split it in half, stack it on top. Our new narrative card is favourite author. So an author I've previously read and loved. Okay. So for my 4th roll, I landed on historical fiction, and for the narrative card it said a favourite author. So I am, again, going to slightly cheat on this one, and I'm going to go for Stalking Jack the Ripper. I started this book in January, and I quite enjoyed it. I liked the writing, and I'm thinking she probably could be one of my favourite writers. I'll be honest, I don't really have a favourite writer in the historical fiction genre. This month I'm getting genres that I don't really read very much, apart from the middle grade. I read middle grade, but mystery, thriller, horror, and historical fiction aren't genres that I actually read very much. So, there. So, like I said, I did start this in January, and I quite enjoyed the bit that I read. I'm going to use this, as I wanted to finish reading it anyway, and may as well just do it now. And we escaped without a plot twist card this time, thankfully. And now for our 5th and final roll. Please be good to me, game. Please be good to me, dice. Please be good to me. Flippin' heck. Right, it is a double again, but it's only 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. That is another middle grade. The narrative card is adapted. So a middle grade book that has been adapted into either a movie or a TV series. That shouldn't be too bad. So for my 5th roll, I landed on middle grade, and the narrative card said an adaptation. So for this one, again I'm being a little bit sneaky. I've gone for I Capture the Castle by Dodie Smith. This one is kind of middle grade. It says for ages 12 plus, which, I mean, I still count that just as a middle grade. As long as it's not technically a teenager, because 12s aren't teenagers, I still say it's a middle grade. And this has been adapted into a movie. I checked. It was a movie in 2003, and it starred Henry Cavill. So, Henry Cavill fans, I think he plays a stable boy or something. So far, I'm only about 50 pages into this book, but I'm really enjoying it. It's a very gentle story. It is very character driven, very descriptive, and yeah, it's a very easy, relaxing read, and honestly, it's massive font, so the story isn't nearly as long as the size of the book would suggest. In any case, I would have been reading this book this month anyway, and it did fit, so we're taking it. But yeah, this is a really gentle read, and I'm really enjoying having something more relaxing than these big old fantasy books that I seem to read all the time. So yeah, it's quite fun, quite gentle, and it should be really good. And now for one last plot twist card. The game wasn't too bad to me last month. It gave me 7 books. It gave me 6 books plus my priority book. This month it has given me 9 books. and I'm angry. My plot twist card says, okay, it's time to get a new companion to help on your quest. Find a book written by a person of colour. That should be good. Great. I'm thrilled. So incredibly thrilled. I hate this game. And of course, once again, I had to get another plot twist card. So for this one, the card said a POC author. And for this, I have chosen a book I have on my Kindle, which is The Kiss Quotient by Helen Huang. Okay, technically I don't own the book, I've only got a sample, but if I like the sample, I will buy the book. That's my decision. And, you know, it fits the prompt. So this is a romance story following a character with Asperger's syndrome. The author, Helen Huang, is on the autistic spectrum herself, so it's an own voices story as well. And I'm quite interested in reading that kind of perspective. Like, there's a section of my psychology A-level which was about autism, and it really interested me, and I'm quite curious to see a story about an autistic character from their own voices perspective. I think that will be really interesting to look at. Like I said, it's a romance story, so the main character is looking for a relationship, and I believe in order to find out how to be a good girlfriend, she gets the assistance of a male escort, which in itself just sounds hilarious. Like, I think it's going to be such a funny read, and romantic comedies aren't the sort of genre I tend to go for, unless they're movies starring Hugh Jackman, in which case, yes. So I believe that Reagan at Peru's Project has read the story in the past few months, and I think she enjoyed it, so I'm hoping that I'm going to enjoy it. There are sequels or companion stories that sort of along the same lines. There's another one out now called The Bride Test. I think that's another autistic character, but I'm not sure. I didn't really look that one up, to be honest. Okay, so I just looked it up. The Bride Test is also about an autistic character, but it is a completely different character. But the thing I'm interested about is the third one, which is coming out in August this year, I believe. And it follows a character with OCD, and this is something that is personally important to me. I'm a little anxious about that story because I don't know how well it's going to be represented, and that if it's represented really poorly, then it'll just make me feel really anxious. If it is not represented well, then I'm not going to be happy about it. As someone with OCD, it's an issue, we say. It's an issue. However, this third book is really the reason why I want to get into the series in the first place. So I'm going to try reading The Kiss Quotient, see how we get on. I might try reading the third book anyway, whether or not I decide to complete this book. We'll see. But yeah, I'm curious to see an own voices rom-com about a character with autism. It sounds like it's going to be great fun. So, oof. So these are all the books I have to read this month, plus the ebook for The Kiss Quotient. I'll admit now, I'm not expecting to finish all of these. If I complete like 4 or 5 of them, I'll be happy. They're really heavy. I'm gonna put them down. So as you can see, I have quite a lot to be doing this February. For such a short month, I have so many books to read. I'm a little intimidated. No, not gonna lie, I'm very intimidated. But, you know, I can only do as best as I can do. And if I don't make it, then I don't make it. I'm going to prioritise I'm going to prioritise The Binding, because it was my priority book, and The Lord of the Rings, because it was my punishment. I will then prioritise the ones left over from January that I've put on this TBR, and then after that I just hope for the best, really. Like I said, there's a lot of books for such a short month, and I'm not expecting to complete all of them. So let's wait for March, where I have a minimum of 6 books already. In any case, that is the end of today's video. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, click the like button down below, maybe subscribe if you want to, and yeah. I will see you soon with my January wrap up, where I will discuss my feelings about those books in more detail. So until next time, bye!